Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Temple of Possibilities. I am Minister William, or Reverend Will if you wish, leading today's sermon of September 1st, 2024. And as always, we'll start with a moment of silence for prayer, meditation, or what have you. All right, thank you. Today's sermon is another one of the virtues. This virtue is diligence. He who labors diligently, dang it, tongue-tied, diligently. I know how to pronounce that, but for some reason I can't. Need never despair, for all things are accomplished by diligence and labor. Diligence and labor. Menander. Diligence refers to careful and persistent work or effort. The diligent carry a zealous yet careful nature in their actions. They are they have a distinctive work ethic, are steadfast in their beliefs, uphold their convictions at all times, especially when no one is looking, and do not easily give up. Diligence is the virtue of hard work and indicative of a belief that hard work in itself is good. Diligence in Hinduism. Whoso performeth diligent content, the work allotted him, whatever it be, lays hold perfectionist. Diligence is closely aligned with the concept of work. Work is work is the staple of human life. The staple of human life. When we are idle, we become irritable. When we retire, we decline. Work is important in Hinduism because it is one of the four paths to God. The path is called Karma Yoga. It asserts that one does not need to retire to a cloister to find God. God can be found in the world of everyday affairs just as readily as anywhere else. How this is done depends on the worker's nature and whether the yogi approaches the work intellectually, jnana, or in the spirit of love, bhakti. I probably mispronounced that. Keep in mind that the main goal of Hinduism is transcendence, the limits of finite self. First, let us look at the Bhakti Yoga. These are people who bring their ardent and affectionate nature to their work. They work for God and for others, do not for themselves. Acts are no longer performed for the personal reward. They are performed as service to God. The person is merely a channel through which the love and will of God is carried out. For example, a Bhakti yoga would be the person mowing and taking care of their elderly neighbor's yard as well as their own. However, this person does not tell their neighbor, for this would foil the point. Instead, she does the extra work with no thought of seeking recognition. Doing so would inflate the ego. In this sense, Bhakti Yoga is closely aligned with humility. The jhana approach to work is more intellectual than emotional. It may help to think of the Bhakti as a pastor and the jhana as a philosopher. For the jhana, work is done unselfishly, but approach is slightly different since they see the world differently than the Bhakti. The jhana, the idea the idea of an infinite being at the center of one's self is more meaningful than the idea of a divine author who created and watches over the world with love. The jhana believe the way of enlightenment is work done and detachment from the imperial self. This involves drawing a line between the finite self that performs acts and the eternal self that observes the action. It may help to think of it in terms of body and soul. People most often approach work in terms that it will bring their body or finite self. Examples are the money or glory work will bring, but toward doing working towards these ends only tightens the chains on the ego cage. The jhana decided that work should be done in a state of detached presence. The worker performs his duties in indication of the internal, but since the acts are being performed by the impractical, imperiatical, finite self, the true self has nothing to do with them. This this is a difficult concept to grasp, but such is the nature of the jhana. Both the affectionate and the philosophical framework strive to starve the ego by depriving it of consequences, good and bad, upon which it feeds. For the Hindu, diligence comes beyond careful and persistent labor. It is the way to escape the limits of the self and achieve enlightenment. Diligence in Christianity. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. Unlike the Hindu karma yogis, Christians do not believe they can obtain salvation through diligence. In Christianity, salvation comes from the grace and mercy of God through Christ. It cannot be earned. It does not mean diligence has no place in Christianity. It is the key to the Christian path. Christian diligence begins with faith and is manifest through love. God provided us His Word in order that we may come to know Him, and through diligence we can fulfill His purpose in our lives. The Apostle Peter advises us the importance of diligence as we mature in Christ. And besides this, given all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge. 2 Peter 1:5. It begins with faith, then virtue and knowledge are obtained through diligence. If the Bible is our path to God, we can turn to the it to understand. That's how it's wrote here. Turn to the it to understand. The role of the diligence in the Christian life. The book of Proverbs has many preempts about it. Poor is he who works with negligent hand, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is made fat. Proverbs 12:24, 13:4. Returning to 2 Peter, we read, to all the more diligence to make certain about his calling and choosing you. For as long as you practice these things, you will never stumble. These things Peter speaks of are faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, kindness, and charity. They are the fruit that come from the faith and the sign that faith is alive and vibrant. These things must be earned through diligence. The parable of the 5 golden talents is a good example of Christian diligence. The story shows how we should be productive with the talents that God has provided. In a parable, the master gives each of his servants a number of golden talents. It is not said, but all the servants knew that they were expected to increase their talents while the Lord was gone. When he returned, he rewarded the servants who were productive and increased their talents. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy and that of thy Lord. Matthew 25:21. The golden talents represent the blessings God has given to his children. During this life, we are expected to use these things responsibly to increase our virtue, faith, and help others increase their own. When the Lord comes again, those who are diligent with their talents will be rewarded. Diligence in Buddhism. Chaos is inherent in all compounded things. Strive on with diligence. Diligence is one point on the Noble Eightfold Path. Right effort, also called the right work, involves training and exhorting oneself to develop wholesome qualities. The Buddha taught that there are 4 aspects to right effort. The effort to prevent unhealthy qualities, greed, anger, lust, sloth, etc., from developing. 2. The effort to destroy unhealthy qualities that have already manifested. 3. The effort to cultivate wholesome qualities, generosity, love, kindness, wisdom, etc., that have not yet been developed. The effort to strengthen wholesome qualities that have already arisen. Effort is key to progress. But the Buddha wouldn't want us to think that right effort just means practicing hard. It means simply practicing right. Remember the middle way, the path between extremes. Practicing this should be like playing a well-tuned instrument. Strings that are too loose won't make a sound, but if they are too tight, they will break. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Zen teacher, which I butchered his name, once said, "The fourfold right diligence is nourished by joy and interest." If your practice does not bring you joy, you are not practicing correctly. However, this does not mean diligence will always be easy and fun. Sometimes it will be difficult and tiresome. Buddha taught that in these situations we should follow the ox's example. The ox marches through the deep mire carrying his heavy load. He is tired but keeps steadily grazed forward and will not relax until he comes to the end of the mire. It is only then he takes a respite. The mire is sin, passion, desire, sloth, and ill will. This will only be escaped by earnestly, steadily working out of them. How to be diligent. Today's work is fast-paced and filled with obstacles and distractions. Technology meant to make life easier and more connected has ironically made it more complicated and nuanced. With all the swirling around, staying committed to a task requires focus. Most of us could benefit from increasing our diligence. There are a few ways to do so. Create goals. When you're when you get into your car, you are most likely to have a destination in mind. If not, you will just drive around aimlessly. The same goes for goals. They are they are needed to give us a direction. Accomplishing smaller goals will give you confidence, and the experience will enable you to better tackle larger long-term goals. Track your progress along the way and make a note of your achievements. Create standards. Think of the problem areas in your life and set a standard to which you will not go below. Sometimes it's difficult to create unpleasant habits. Sometimes it's difficult to correct unpleasant habits. But this is necessary to build confidence. It can help pick a it can help to pick a role model to eliminate to help keep your mind focused. To immolate to keep your mind focused. Stay positive. A positive attitude goes a long way. It is easier to stick to your ultimate intentions when you get rid of negativity and pessimism. Keep your eyes on the goal and, like the Buddha taught, follow the example of the ox. Release stress. Find positive outlets to release stress and doubt. Releasing stress in constructive ways is important because it will further your goals while allowing you to release and recharge. Examples of such activities include working out, cooking, dancing, drawing, video gaming, carpentry, traveling, mountain climbing, riding, basket weaving, etc. And that is so. Try to stay diligent. You will be able to get through anything if you just won't give up. But that is that for that virtue, and I hope that if any of you want Once I'm done with the virtues, I can move on to the 7 deadly sins, which are also in the ULC website. But remember, until next week, when we all work together, the possibilities are endless. We all come together, the possibilities are endless. I forgot my own catchphrase. But yeah, see you next week. Thank you.